Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Welcome to Scarborough. Youths want cash without tango. Candle magic got me calling on Shango. When I strike, I'm coming from lightning angles. Wet up in your ride like dangles. Know your place. When me and the God step in the place, devils get step in their face. No matter your race, watch your speech. We defend peace with justice. Love for the God make you shit like mustard or run like custard. Too slow, so you know how it go. Set him to assault. I'm not the one to judge you, bro, or judge you, sis. Humanity written from hip to hip, but you're shaking them and not getting your womb equipped. Degrading yourself for women's rights, not saving yourself. Turning a dyke, but won't spiritually raise yourself. Waste of sperm, can't even wait to perm. Getting viruses and symptoms, you're thinking it's germs. Making so many mistakes, from none you learn. Seeing your future as the fucking cauldron turn. Ease the burn of your young son's death. Blaming the influence, but never blaming yourself. Driver shot, but never a crooked cop. Crip shot, but never a racist cop. Racism doesn't exist, so stop. Rex 84, King Alfred got him on the block for chopping. Nigga mortus, abuse ain't stopping. Guns on your shirts, but your pistol's not cocking. Popping and locking, guns jammed for 10 you're locked in. Or eternal sleep in a closed coffin. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. They got you stuck on some fakeness. We revealed this, you heard of us. Official lower self-murderers. These Moors come equipped for warfare. Tam or Kufi. These Sufi are my corp of Mufti. For all those who wanna profile and pose. See a nigga dress and know a fag made his clothes. You all alone in that gear, cousin. Gangsta hardcore thugs, they just frontin'. Cops keep them fake crews running like they supposed to. Rich like Scarface, you never come close to. I can see it, eyes tell no lies. Assalamu alaikum, selling white sugar in those bean pies. Giving dollars to Doc's lawyer who took the bar. And between you and your leader, he's being a bar. Some say I'm rude, blame Brother Dawood or Azariah. Pastor Beverly, the Messiah. David Walker, action not a talker. Sleepwalker, wake up, you're just daydreaming. Dirty Moors don't wanna be God and stay heathen. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Rappers think they hot, niggas warm like Luke. Oops, call them dirty Moors is what we taught to do. Not the Klansmen, burning some cross for you. If he's got a speechwriter, who's the boss to you? Voting for Obama, I see he's off like you. I walk, don't need a boxed up Porsche like you. Loving the Fiat, dirty Moors thugging for Fiat. Grabbing old ladies' purses, they mugging for Fiat. Some taking, some bake, for Fiat they drugging. Fiat is back by nothing, fam, I'm not bluffing. Players hands on their ass like it's turkey they stuffing. Doing it for your boys, treat your girl like nothing. Matriarch rules, patriarch fools. I'm seeing gods act like men, thinking like mules. Swear my rough edges without mason tools. I never took an oath, so I'm revealing mason rules. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Most don't learn till it's too late. Most say that they real but they too fake. Most act minor but think they too great. Most meet fate just cause they too bait. Produced by D&D, the Gotas, Iron Sheik, CMP,
Common sense was made before book sense. Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick.
Legendary, bury me in the North Gate Cemetery, February the 4th day. Son of Mary, day ahead of my born day. Independence and law makes it a little of a lost case. With case laws, we break them down like Jericho. Keeping all my lions tamed, I'm Chris Jericho. Or keep a mask on deck, I'm Rey Mysterio. Fake pandemics announced over the radio. Annoyed with the game, the joys and the pains. I'm Rob Bass, mixing with rock the hard way. I was in a lost state. Prophets stood me up right, brought me to a lost gate. Cooking like I'm Salt-Bae, rapping like I'm Denzel. Malcolm X, Deja Vu, Roman J. Israel. Had no door, lay in plain sight, but people still can't see it. So the snakes still showing up, stakes still high, so the race still going up. Warriors of the North Gate, we not slowing up. Born in the manger, sworn to be savior. Walk through the valley of the shadows of the death grip and slavery. Looking for light, the book of Genesis. Astro plane interests, invoke the nemesis. Abstract images of past lives kicking in. Danger, running for your life, finishing.
Moorish or key man or oracle. Using Trinity powers, decipher allegorical. Lost in metaphorical, holy books are metaphysic. Facts slap a dirty more or a Drew Ali critic. Calling him Thomas or Walter and get your face caved. Or cut like a close shave. Drowned in my brain waves, squashed by heat waves. Activating Kundalini. Abyssinia invaded by Mussolini. Selassie I in exile. Reptile in Genesis, niggas appearing real. All I see is false evidence. DA are feminists, stomped on by elephants. Won't let go prejudice, but want Moorish benefits. When you feel the cold magnetic resonance. Apis horns of the sacred book called Maleficent. Great cosmic mothers, return to blessedness. No pestilence, ace all the testaments. Tap into remembrance, never to forget again. Use energy right, not put spell effects on men. Wandering the earth plane with no veil shades. Keeps you a mental slave as the horizon fades. It's been decades since Christian crusades. Not enough rebellions, too many vigil bouquets. Holding on to the fence, burning on doomsday. War ruled by Mars, it might be on a Tuesday.
Canaanland Moors presents Common Sense Quick. What we do here is we add some common sense thinking to everyday situations or comments that may arise. Want to give it a try?
Islam Moors, peace and love. Q&A day. If you got any questions, just put them in the chat. Now, one question that we had in the DM was with regard to sovereignty and are Moors sovereign? So before we do that, we just want to put something out there. Just see if it's in here. If they hit it or not. Alright. So, we're going to read a letter from the Prophet Noble Drew Ali to all governors, grand sheikhs, and head officials of temples. By order of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, has said the following thing during this our very first convention. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that the Moorish Science Temple of America was organized to play a useful and defined part in advancement of the sacred obligation of American citizenship. The Moorish Science Temple of America was organized to play a useful and defined part with regard to the sacred obligation of American citizenship. This is what the Moorish Science Temple, according to Noble Drew Ali, at the first convention, was telling these Moors that Moorish Science Temple is about. So how is it in 2020 you think this is something religious? Citizenship's not religious. If citizenship's not religious, then where you get the idea that being a Moor or saying I'm a Moor or joining a temple or whatever is a religious thing? How'd that come about? Because if you're talking about American citizenship, then you're talking about sovereignty. You're not talking about some corporate state or anything like that. Because he said American citizenship. He didn't say U.S. citizenship. He didn't say U.S.A. citizenship. He didn't say citizen of U.S.A. He said American citizenship. And nobody really told Moors. I told you the half. If I told you everything, you'll go back to sleep. Because this thing is deeper than you could even imagine. If you're thinking that this is just some religious stuff because you heard some guy on YouTube who has 50,000 views say that. Or you read some article talking about Moors and they're talking about some religious whatever. When this has nothing to do with religion. This was put out in the 1920s as religion for the dummies who were religious. But this was all about, this was completely about getting these non-classified people who are called Negro, black, colored, or whatever today, still today in 2020, get them to denounce that and come back to your ancient foremothers and forefathers through this building called Moorish Science Temple. That we're here to teach you about your nationality and your birthrights, that you're not Negro, black, colored, and all that stuff. If that's citizenship, then Moorish Science Temple of America is not religious. And whoever told you that it's religious played you. They played you and sold you out. Because now you're lost in 2020. You're panicking back against the wall because Trump's doing this and executive order that and all that stuff. And now you're rushing to do some stuff that you should have had naturally. If these people would have did their job that we keep telling people about, and then people want to get mad that we're calling out sellouts. That's like Moore told me today, Akon has a song with 6ix9ine talking about locked up still. 2020. This is the head of the guy who is building his own city in the continent of Africa, did a song with a guy who's a snitch that everybody knows he's a snitch. And then they're going to put out a song together, and I guarantee you it's going to be on the #1 list, whatever, for however long it's going to be up there. It's going to be #1. I'm telling you that right now. Right? Because all our people do is support traitors and sellouts. Because all our people have been done is trained to follow traitors and sellouts and not think for themselves. Everybody knows Al Sharpton's a snitch. If you're telling me about George Floyd's death or whatever like that, and he went on the stage at the funeral and spoke, and all those people sat there and listened to him talk, they didn't walk out, that just lets you know how much our people love sellouts. And that's just how it goes. And if you're talking about liberating our people, then you better turn your eyes the other direction of where they're facing right now. Because it's not coming from any of these leaders out here who you think they have your best interests at heart. As the Moorish Divine National Movement was founded for the uplifting of the Asiatic states of North America on May 1st, 1916, as this will have been our very first convention and most interesting one ever held in this city. Speaking about Chicago. Now, why would he bring up Asiatic states? Why wouldn't he say United States? How come he was specific and told you Asiatic states? Well, let's go see. Remember, you're asking about if we're sovereign, right? Sovereign, a person, body, or state in which independent and supreme authority is vested. A chief ruler with supreme power, a king or other ruler with limited power. In English law, a gold coin of Great Britain of the value of a pound sterling. Sovereign, a state in which independent and supreme authority is vested, or a body, or a person. Noble covered all bases for the Moors. For them, and they still sold them out. He covered all bases for them and he still sold them out. So the state is the Asiatic states. Right? Wherever there's Moors at, those are Asiatic states. We're going to evolve to the place of, we're going to start naming these places back the original names. Because Noble Drew Ali was the president at that time. CEO, chief, head officer. The body is the grand body. Whether you want to say the group of Moors who were around Noble Drew Ali and say grand body are only these people, or whether you want to say the body politic, the Jural society of Aboriginal and Indigenous people who they have a nationality, they're on Negro, black, colored, or the person, which would be the institution called Moorish, because it's not specifying natural person, so we know it's talking about a corporation, or it would say natural person there. So because it's talking about a corporation, it's talking about Moorish Science Temple of America, which has a charter that comes from a sovereign who is Noble Drew Ali. So there's sovereignty all over this Moorish Divine National Movement, Moorish Science Temple, Moorish Holy Temple of Science, anything Moorish, sovereignty is there. Do the people recognize it though? Were they taught that this is sovereignty, or were they taught this is some religious thing? And their fez is religious, and their whatever is religious. And because of the religious whatever of Moorish Science Temple, Moors should only wear a red fez, and sisters only wear colors of the rainbow as their turban, but you never put a fez on, sister, because you can't. And brother, you just wear a red fez. You know they got orange ones and black ones and green ones, and don't worry about those. Just focus on the red one. This is not religious. This is about a dead people getting back into their sovereign capacity. But in order to do that, you better have a non-colonized mind. Because if you have a colonized mind, you don't have sovereignty. Which is why the whole play of sovereignty is so played, because these people don't even know about their nationality and birthrights. They either came in because they got some charges, or they came in because they wanted to claim a house, or they came in because they got some taxes thing with CRA or the IRS they wanted to, or they came in because somebody told them about some bottomless account that if you take the birth certificate and you file that with a PPSA or a UUCCCRRLQ, and then that's going to make you be sovereign. Now there's also sovereign people. The political body consisting of the entire number of citizens and qualified electors who in their collective capacity possess the powers of sovereignty and exercise them through their chosen representatives. So, if there's this thing called Moorish Science Temple of America, and they say that it's a religious corporation, and file Cook County and the religious movement and all that stuff, right? The political body consisting of the entire number of citizens and qualified electors. Okay, so there's no doubt whatsoever that Noble Drew Ali spoke about voting, right? You talk about you're only voting for electors. You're not voting for anything else. Who, in their collective capacity, going back to grand body again, capacity, grand, collective, body, possess the powers of sovereignty. We have a red flag with a green 5-point star, and that's known as a national flag. You're going to go punch up United Nations right now, and the red flag with the 5-point green star is in there. Nobody's debating the flag in the UN. More start waving the flag. Oh, that's not the flag. That's the flag of the kingdom and all this. How you figure that? Because I go to Noble Drew Ali's literature, he said the Moorish flag is a red flag, green 5-point star. I didn't know about Kingdom Morocco even having a flag in 1913 to 1929 during the time of Noble Drew Ali putting this information out. Was there even a Morocco? Maybe you should go check. Was there a Morocco between 1913 and 1929 and see what comes up? Because again, we're still dealing with, are we sovereign? Are we just some religious guys with these hats on, and these sisters go have their towel from the cupboard, wrap that around their head, and pretending that they're doing something righteous? The political body consisting, remember, sovereign people, the political body consisting of the entire number of citizens and qualified electors who in their collective capacity possess the powers of sovereignty and exercise them through their chosen representatives. So aren't the grand sheiks and the grand governors and whatever, aren't they trustees? And then if they're trustees, don't they have an obligation to the beneficiaries? Which would mean that if we voted for you, you have to do what we say, not the other way around. Like a body of Moors say, hey, we want you to be our chosen representative. We want you to be our chosen representative because, our body selects you. So now, this individual has been selected, elected, voted in, chosen by the body. That individual chosen, grand sheik, grand governor, or whatever like that, they are, without a shadow of a doubt, the chosen representatives. Now, if they're the chosen representatives, then is this why Noble Drew Ali told us this in the Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that he prepared for these Moors to get their shit together? Stop playing around like this is some religious thing. O thou, the favorite of heaven, whom the Son of Men, thy equals, agreed to raise to sovereign power and set as a ruler over themselves, consider the ends and importance of their trust far more than the dignity and height of thy station. Why? Because your station comes from the people. Your station doesn't come from Allah gave you the station and all that. No, it doesn't. As soon as they start talking like the station came from Allah and all that, the Adab chamber and all this stuff, you already know they're playing either some kind of club game with you or they're playing religion. They're not dealing with sovereignty. Because you can't play religion and sovereignty. You're doing one or the other. We're not Moors. Yeah, we have religious headwear. And then talk about you have a nationality card. No, you don't. If you're religious, then religious is what you got. You're not flip-flopping on two sides. Sovereignty doesn't work like that. If you're showing sovereignty, let's just keep going. Sovereign power. The power in a state to which none other is superior or equal, and which includes all the specific powers necessary to accomplish the legitimate ends and purposes of government. Didn't we just say right here, O thou the favorite of heaven, whom the Son of Men, thy equals, have agreed to raise to sovereign power. Magistrate and subject, that's what Noble Drew Ali said. And then we go in the law dictionary, and sovereign power means the power in a state, remember we talked about the Asiatic states earlier, right? To which none other is superior or equal. Now you see why everybody's has this campaign to try to shut down the Moors? Because with sovereign power, we are not equal and nobody is superior to us. Why? Because we're in our own sovereign jurisdiction as Moors. That's why they would let you be everything else without question. But as soon as you start saying you're Moors, now you have to go take DNA tests. Now you have to prove where you come from and all this stuff. When you want to be black, you didn't take no DNA test to be black. You didn't take no DNA test to be the colored people. You know DNA test to be Negro. How come all of a sudden, now that you want to be a Moor, everybody's fighting you? No, you can't talk like that. You can't say that. What do you mean by that? But when you're doing the Negro stuff, oh, no question. Just like the Moors. As soon as the Moors start talking about right to bear arms, they're domestic terrorists. But when those same Moors were working with the U.S. and Canada Corporation, going and fighting these Europeans' wars all over the people, murdering children and all that stuff, there was no domestic terrorists there. You were doing the job of the government and all that stuff. That's not government. That's not government if that's what they're doing. Just go murder people and you tell me that's government? Then obviously you don't read, which is why you're in the position that you're in, getting violated and abused all the time. Because Noble Drew Ali brought you your sovereign power back to you to the point where put it in the Holy Quran, sovereign power, and that's actually a word in the dictionary. That's not some religious stuff he's talking about. You, the people, the sovereign people, raised these grand sheiks and whoever. Now they're ruling over you. No different than pastor man and imam man and rabbi man and everybody else is ruling over those people. Why? Because you thought this was religious. He played you. They played you. The state is the people. Without people, state does not exist. Without people, country doesn't exist. Without people, there's no nationality, Doesn't mean anything. There's no people. Flag means nothing if there's no people. Fez, what's Fez gonna do? Sit on. What's Fez sitting on? What's turban getting wrapped around if there's no people? But if the people are in a dumb mindset where they don't even know up from down, then what are you talking about? Rule something. It's not happening. And again, when we ask ourselves, what is sovereignty and are we sovereign? There has to be the aspect of knowing what these things are before you even start even considering, which is why it's part of the liberation that you have a library with books so you can research. So you can research. Not just whatever research, like real research. Just like how we have 3 books out right now, plus the law dictionary. Like, why do we have a law dictionary? We're just reading some books. No, because words have meanings. And again, if you're looking at Holy Quran of Moorish Science Temple of America as some religious book because you see Jesus and Allah and all this type of stuff in there, but then sovereign power is in the law dictionary, and then sovereign power is in the Holy Quran, which you think is a religious book, you definitely miss the message and be way off in anything that you're doing relative to this. Because the foundation of this is law, not religion. The foundation of what Noble Drew Ali brought to our people is law, not religion. As soon as you think that this is religious, you're playing yourself and giving up your sovereignty, because you can't be both. That's why when it comes to dirty Moors, we don't talk to Moors in the temple that talk religious, because they played their self. They're already boxed in. They're on a reserve, exercising Moorish Science Temple of America as religious when this is sovereign power. Played their self, which is again why Drew Ali said religious, to trap those opportunist tables in the temple with stuff on them that people aren't turning over. To trap those people. Moorish Science Temple changed its name to religious whatever. That was to trap people. That was a prophet. He knew who they were. He knew what they were about. Like the Moors say, let them talk. They'll play their self. Just let them talk. Just like Marrakesh guy. Just let them talk. Put on 2 days of common sense quickies. Shut that stuff up. Quick fast. Because truth reigns supreme. And everybody lied on Noble Drew Ali. But fortunately, lies get you. And then when truth stands up, now what are you gonna be with? You're gonna be mad and want to go back to the lie? Or we might as well, just like Harriet said, shit. What are you talking about? Go back to the plantation? We're gonna kill you now and bury you in these woods. What you mean go back? Go back where? Well, I think Master really wants to. Oh yeah, all right. Let's go back. Let's go back. You walk up front. You lead the way. Like they violated you by telling you that this is religious. Think about that. How is it that you've been violated like that? That you don't even know that you are a sovereign. You don't even know that you have sovereignty. They played you out of this paradigm to have them be rich under some black whatever. Have them have a great life while you suffer. You suffer. You got the roach butter on the bread, and then you're watching them whop. Watching them go on their private jet. But you get to eat roach cereal. Because you trusted traders and sellouts. And you still don't get the message. You still don't get it. Still getting played. Because you don't want to think for yourself. And again, you can't even knock the devil. The devil is brilliant. That lower self is a smart man. Because he got people fooled. Fooled to the point where they gave up their own sovereignty. Like you know that you got played when you're giving up your stuff. And they don't even have to ask you. And then guess what happens with that sovereignty that you just gave up because you want to be Negro, black, colored, or whatever? They use it to strangle you in the street. They use it to make sure that your communities have nothing while their communities have everything. They use that sovereignty to make you think that they're the government. When they stole the perspective of government from you and made you stop using it, and now they're using it and ruling the world. Even though they're using it warped and messed up. But I mean, what do you expect? It's not their stuff. What are they gonna do with it? It ain't theirs. It's not their sovereignty. It's yours. But you don't want it. You think being a Moor is some religious stuff because you see Allah, so you're not Islamic, so you're not a Moor. Alright, then I guess no sovereignty for you. It's a real easy fix. But it starts with the people knowing. And the only way you're going to know is if you read. If you don't want to read, you could watch stuff, but, that's not you getting it. You reading it, and somebody reading it to you is two different things. Totally different things. Now we say we don't have to go into quasars and all that stuff to be having some deep 1 hour discussions or whatever. We just bring a dictionary and look up words. We thought we knew something. You thought you knew something. You thought you knew what sovereignty was. No, that wasn't sovereignty that you were seeing. That was some people who are colonists. They stole your stuff and they're parading around with it. That doesn't mean that's what that is. Right? Sovereign right. A right which the state alone or some of its governmental agencies can possess, and which it possesses in the character of a sovereign for the common benefit and enable it to carry out its proper functions. disguised from such proprietary rights as a state, like any private person may have in property or demands which it owns. Sovereign rights belong to states. So as soon as you hear the package seller UCC guys, yeah, we got the sovereign right to do this and sovereign right to do that. People don't have sovereign right. That belongs to states or a governmental agency. Sovereign right doesn't reside with the people. And that's how they stole your stuff too. Again, you giving it up, thinking they have the sovereign right to do something. No, they're colonists. Why you even talking about their government and departments of whatever? They're colonists. They say that they're colonists. Oh, but you're gonna see some Moors go get some proclamations or whatever like that, take pictures with the mayor and all that stuff, and then you're thinking that there's some type of governmental relationship go. No, that's not what's going on. That's the sellout. They don't recognize their sovereignty because they're claiming some religious corporation. So the corporation, called the city of whatever, would gladly talk to them because they're on the same plane. Remember the sovereign power. None other is superior or equal. So how are they taking an equal position with these corporate jurisdictions? And then saying Moorish as if they're being sovereign. They're not being sovereign. They're being a religious corporation. And then you looking at it as something religious, and then because you were coming in, because you were a dumb nigger, and you're coming into consciousness, and you already know you don't want religion, as soon as you see Moors and they're saying religion, you're automatically going to turn away from it. Because why you want religion? You just came from religion, and you already know what that's about. And then that's how they played you out your birthright. Remember, that's people on your side. Those are people who are supposed to be down with, we're sovereign, and they got the same flag that we got. How are they talking to religious when they got flag that we got? They have a national flag and they're talking about religious. And then you're throwing away your birthright because you saw some Moors, or you went to a temple and you saw them rolling on the ground and throwing the jacket at the devil and all this type of stuff, and you said you don't want anything to do with this. Forget that Moorish stuff. No, forget those people doing crazy stuff with the Moorish stuff. Well, this guy sold me a package for $5,000. It didn't work, so forget the Moors. No. Forget that individual who played you out of your birthright selling you a package. Not generalize all Moors because you had a messed up whatever with a Moor who played you. Don't mix the two. And finally, sovereignty. The supreme, absolute, and uncontrollable power by which any independent state is governed. Remember, we call this Asiatic states, so we qualify. Supreme political authority. We got Oscar the Priest in office. I think we have some supreme political authority as far as Moors are concerned, if we got Oscar the Priest in office in the 1920s. Paramount control of the Constitution and frame of government and its administration. We have a divine constitution and bylaws. In it, it tells you that Grand Sheik and Assistant Grand Sheik, chairman, and who has the power and all that type of stuff, right? the self-sufficient source of political power from which all specific political powers are derived, the international independence of a state, combined with the right and power of regulating its internal affairs without foreign dictation. This is why they don't want our people to know about sovereignty. Because once the people know about sovereignty, they would realize, quick, fast, they would realize immediately that all of their affairs have been dictated by a foreigner. All their affairs. Everything that they've done in their life has been between them, the Asiatic, Aboriginal, Indigenous people, and some foreigner. Who, the foreigner, didn't even sign the contract. Our people were just out to lunch. So here comes Jwali bringing all this stuff back. All this stuff that we're talking about is all the things that he brought back. And 2020, you still don't know. Because they played you out of it through foreign dictation. Also, a political society or state which is sovereign and independent. The power to do everything in a state without accountability, to make laws, to execute and to apply them, to impose and collect taxes and levy contributions, to make war or peace, to form treaties or alliances of or commerce with foreign nations and the like. Sovereignty in government is that public authority which directs or orders what is to be done by each member associated in relation to the end of the association. It is the supreme power by which any citizen is governed, and it is the person or body of persons in the state of whom there is politically no superior. The necessary existence of the state and that right and power which necessarily follows is sovereignty. By sovereignty, in its largest sense, is meant supreme, absolute, uncontrollable power, the absolute right to govern. The word which, by itself, comes nearest to being the definition of sovereignty is will or volition as applied to political affairs. Will or volition is the word best used that comes to meaning truly what sovereignty is. Will or volition. Now, if Noble Jwali said, think and save yourself, is that not will or volition? Wouldn't that be sovereignty? And if that's sovereignty, how come people got you thinking that this is some religious movement? When you have sovereignty with this movement, you have supreme, absolute, uncontrollable power. Only with this, though. All that other stuff that they've been telling you that that's who you are, all those are fiction. And there's no sovereignty there. All of it is illusion. If you have any questions, you can throw those in the chat. We just wanted to get through that perspective of Moors and sovereignty. Somebody had asked, and we want people to be clear that when we start talking about we're Moors and all that stuff, we are speaking from a law, civic, government, whatever position. We're not speaking from religious. Don't ever in your life again, ever again, hear that the Moorish, whatever, and then you're thinking some religious thing. See it doing religious stuff to say that it's religious. And then when you see that, just scratch them off the list, but don't throw away your birthright that you're Moors. Just recognize that, oh, okay, that aspect I'm not really gonna be, just because it doesn't vibrate with you, because it's like church or whatever. So why are you gonna go to that? Obviously it's some BS. You just left church. You're not leaving church to go put a fez on and go back to church. So once you realize that, then what's the next thing that you're looking at? And the opposite of that is the supreme, absolute, uncontrollable power. Where if you take that, that's you being your Moorish sovereign self. Being it. Remember, will and volition, remember. Right? Not assumptions and speculations and whatever. We are a state with supreme authority. But that supreme authority is going to be only exercised by people who recognize it, who recognize the supreme authority, who recognize the state that has the supreme authority, who recognizes the nation that has the sovereignty. If you don't see it, it's not happening. And our people haven't seen it. Or we wouldn't even be here trying to convince people that they're Moors when it is what it is. The fact that people have to be convinced lets you know where the mental slavery is. The whole fact of, because we always say, when we look at the Moors who were before us, that were putting out this information so our people could have it, right? Like, how are they looking at right now? Are they seeing progression? If they're seeing progression, then all right, this is all worth it. If they're looking at this like, shit, this is the only place where we're at with this, then, And the fact that they're still doing the work lets us know that, yeah, this is really what it's about, doing this work, because this is how lost our people are. Right? Expatriation. Like we say, you don't want to assume anything. I'm playing assumption. Expatriation. The voluntary act of abandoning one's country and becoming the citizen or subject of another. The voluntary renunciation or abandonment of nationality and allegiance. So when you hear these package seller guys telling you about, oh, well, part of the package is expatriation papers because you have to expatriate from the US because, they're European and they're talking all this crazy whatever like that. BS. Why would you expatriate from Walmart? How are you even a citizen of Walmart that you need to expatriate? if U.S is a corpse, then what's expatriating? Why would you expatriate from McDonald's? Yeah, this more told me nationalities, or he gave me his papers, 500, and there's expatriation papers because I was a citizen of McDonald's. And I'm not a citizen of there anymore because I proclaim my nationality. I know who Noble Drew Ali is, so I'm no longer a citizen of Walmart. Is what expatriation papers are saying. And so whoever you give that to, that's how they're looking at you. That's why if you have the expatriation papers and then you've been exercising as a Moor and stuff's not working, that's probably why people made you hex yourself. Expatriating from a corpse. But all they wanted was their 500. This wasn't about you getting info or you being free or none of that. Right? Is a DNA test necessary to prove we are Moors of North America? It's not necessary because we're Moors. We're of North America, South America, Africa, Asia, Australia, we're Moors. You need DNA for that? You need DNA to know that we're Moors? Moor is any dark-skinned person, especially an African Negro. Okay, let me see. If I go to Africa, I see dark-skinned people. If I go to Australia, I see dark-skinned people. If I go to Asia, Europe, wherever, I see dark-skinned people. Oh, but because they're in whatever, they're not Moors. They're wherever they're standing right now. Okay. Not that you shouldn't do a DNA test or whatever like that, but you're not doing that for some paperwork so you can say that you're or whatever. You're doing that for your personal, because you know what I mean, you want to know something. You know what I mean? It's available. Me personally, I'm not giving nobody my DNA like that. Just give it to them just because. I don't know. It seems weird to me. You know. Because if all the world was one landmass, and then we've always been dark-skinned people, oh, you want to know what tribe or whatever that you, oh, okay, so yeah, you go, yeah, sure, go do a DNA test. Yeah. But if a orange is gonna do a DNA test and come back, Congolese or something like that, a German Shepherd do a DNA test, find out he's Mexican, then you might want to check the tests, the tester guys. Tester guys might not be who they say they are. If you got any questions, put them in the chat. Especially all you sneak studiers in the back. We see you, even though you're not making any comments and stuff. We see you back there. If you got any questions, put them in the chat now. We got 26-second countdown going. There's nothing else. Or you could send, if it's personal, you know what I mean, you could send your question in the DM and then we'll go live again and answer it. Because this whole hour was just for the sovereignty question. So Islam for the question, honors to all the Moors, peace and love to all the mothers,